when we talk about ADHD, about the challenges that are associated with it. What doesn't get enough airplay is the positives that come along with it. Now, ADHD, people are often, super, super intelligent. Some of them are gifted. There is all sorts of things that the ADHD brain does that is quite exceptional.
Hello, and welcome to a very special episode of Shire Health Chats. Today, I am joined online by Sharon Collon from the Functional Family ADHD Coaching. Sharon is an award-winning ADHD coach and consultant. She is passionate about helping people with ADHD understand how their brain works and create joyful, functional lives with ADHD. As well as Sharon's lived-in experience, which involves her husband and 3 sons having ADHD, she has been researching ADHD for over 15 years. Sharon enjoys being near the sea, spending time with her boys, her dogs, and her 2 boxer dogs, who are more like living cartoon characters than actual dogs. Sharon, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me here. I'm so happy that we're having this chat today.
Me too. So look, we at the practice are really looking for how we can better offer services for ADHD and making sure we're doing the best possible healthcare for neurodivergent people. Can you tell us a bit about what you do and where you are?
Okay, so basically an ADHD coach is someone, it's a little bit kind of like a life coach, but we have specific training to work with the ADHD brain. So what we are concerned in is we are about practical skills. So we are about the executive function challenges that come along with ADHD. So we are very much about the how and how to implement them. And one of the best things that I get to do as an ADHD coach is really identify my clients' strengths, because it's strength-based training, and then see if we can pull some of those strengths across into the areas that they find challenging or the challenges that they might experience because of their ADHD. So it's a really fun process. It's not like therapy. It's quite different. So we look at where challenges are, what we can do about it, how can we make life easier. Now, as a mum of 3 ADHD boys, as you mentioned in that intro, I know firsthand how challenging life can be when you're doing everyone's executive function for them as a mum. So I really love anything that's going to save you time, effort, and have streamlined systems to make life more enjoyable when there's ADHD in the mix.
I love that. And I want to tease out something you said there, which is about identifying people's strengths. Can you talk more about that?
Yes, well, we often hear when we talk about ADHD about the challenges that are associated with it. What doesn't get enough airplay is the positives that come along with it. Now, ADHD, people are often super, super intelligent. Some of them are gifted. There is all sorts of things that the ADHD brain does that is quite exceptional. We know that they are often really creative people. They are really good problem solvers. Their brains are ideas factories. They come up with incredible ideas. They often are, outside the box. They have good pattern recognition, so are able to recognize patterns. So a real asset to the workplace. And I kind of picture my favorite psychologist in the Shire talks about ADHD being a little bit like when Spider-Man goes to, gets the ability to do the webbing. And at the start, he's a bit...
Oh, that's very interesting.
Yeah, it's a bit all over the place, and he webs himself and it's all a bit chaotic. So he goes away into this warehouse and learns how to use his skill. Now, that is the bit that the people who work with people with ADHD get to help the person with ADHD do. We teach them about their brain and how they can use it to help themselves.
Which psychologist came up with that?
That was Melinda at Muse Psychology in Engadine. She's amazing.
Oh, lovely. Yeah. I do like having the Shire is great. Like you got this real breadth of experience in allied health professionals and medical professionals. So tell me a bit about your business and how you ended up in the Shire.
Okay, so I've been in the Shire since I was 5. I'm from Brizzy originally, and how I ended up with this business is I married my husband, who is, and coming from an ADHD coach who works with ADHD every day, still the most extreme hyperactivity presentation I've ever come across to this day. He had a terrible time in school. He was labeled the naughty boy. He was, this is like the 80s and 90s, right? We didn't have the same understanding of ADHD that we do now. And his experiences was very trauma filled with, misunderstood with ADHD. And we know a little bit of those misconceptions and stigmas still come along with ADHD. And that's what I'm really interested in busting down some of that. And so I was looking at his awful experience. And then, we went on to have 3 beautiful boys. And I was given a pamphlet about ADHD. And I was thinking, how on earth am I going to keep these kids alive? I didn't have the skills to be able to handle what they were putting out there. So I started researching ADHD like a woman obsessed, because it was survival for our family at that point. When you've got this much going on in one family, it is a very extreme family. The company was almost called the dysfunctional family, I have to tell you.
Okay.
But what I learned from that is that there's some things that we can do to help work with the ADHD brain. We don't work against it, we work with it. And then I went back and did my formal training at ADCA in New York and qualified as an ADHD coach, because that bit is important. And we really want to make sure that we have the skills to back up, what we're doing with beautiful people with ADHD, and have the skills to be able to help them have fun and functional lives with ADHD.
I really like most people would just see the crisis. You actually saw the crisis and the solution and the tremendous business opportunity and the chance to serve the community. That's fantastic, because it is often those crises where we get the best sort of solutions that come out of business or medicine. We've been thinking at the practice about how we can set up our services to help with ADHD assessment. And we've been debating ideas about how to set up those consultations. Do you think there's anything we can do to make that easier? We were talking about maybe quiet appointments, or appointments where there's not as many people in the practice. We were talking about how do we get parents and if, for example, it's a kid and a parent, how do we get them both along at a reasonable hour? Talk to me about that.
Oh, I love that you guys are having these conversations. And, in other states, New South Wales is a little bit, I went to the ADPA conference recently. We learned that New South Wales is a little bit behind in terms of management of ADHD. And so GPs are actually the front line and pushing this stuff forward. In countries like, in states like Tasmania, for example, GPs can actually manage ADHD, which I really wish that would be the case in New South Wales, but we might get there.
There's hope. There's a Senate inquiry. We're all looking at the options. But
there's hope,
I know
right?
exactly what you mean.
Yeah. So really, you guys are the front line. So you're getting if we're talking about a child, I mean, in this instance, in this example, you guys are getting the parents when they are at the peak of distress. Right? So they're coming to you, maybe the preschool or the primary school have flagged it. They're getting a lot of negative feedback from the world and possibly feeling a little bit excluded from things, because I know from my kids as well, you can get lots of negative feedback, and it starts to feel like you're getting a bit, oh my gosh, it starts to be quite terrifying. So you're getting that at people at the heightened emotional state where they're coming to you to get a referral to the developmental pediatrician, or if it's an adult, to the psychiatrist. So I'm thinking that things that you guys could do is obviously, what you already do, which is being present, asking nice questions, letting them tell you what's going on, and making that judgment call about whether to refer them on to, the person who can do that assessment. In terms of sensory issues, like you flagged there is ADHD and sensory issues go hand in hand. We have a saying in ADHD coaching that ADHD doesn't come to the party alone. It brings friends, right? So we know that it's very linked to Tourette's. We know it's linked to being gifted. We know it's linked to, sensory issues, ODD, PDA, those kind of profiles. And so, having things like asking the question, never being afraid to ask, do you want me to dim the lights? Would you like me to turn that music off? Is there a time of day that suits these families better? Generally speaking, for my family, I know mornings. You're going to get more out of my children in the mornings and the afternoons. We're just holding on for the ride, all right? But in the mornings, they can regulate quite well. So view transition. So when they're coming into you, they're essentially doing a transition from home to a GP surgery. They all have a tax on the ADHD brain. So in the earlier part of the day, for a lot of people, not everyone, but for a lot of people, they've got more cash to spend at that first part of the day. They run out of money by the end of the day, and you start to lose that transition ability a little bit. But asking the question, because everyone is unique and everyone has their own way in which ADHD presents for them, and knowing that the parent that's sitting in front of you is going to have a very, very, like, they've got their own emotional roller coaster that's coming along to that appointment, and it can be really, really challenging as a parent sitting in that position, and it would have taken them a lot to get there.
One of the things, like, we really do appreciate that, and we try to appreciate that in our practice, that we do not expect people to turn up at their best. Like, for routine consultations, I don't expect to see people at their best. I know they're either going to be distressed or nervous or anxious, but particularly for bringing your kid in, for example, for an ADHD consultation, or yourself coming in as an adult to be assessed for ADHD, we really don't expect people to be at their best. We're happy if they are, but we don't expect it, and we're very happy to work with them on that.
Yeah. And what most people, I was going to say,
no, you go.
That with ADHD comes along a thing called RSD, right? So rejection sensitivity dysphoria, and for them, the thing that they might be most fearful of in any sort of appointment setting is the being dismissed or rejected. So, I mean, you guys do a great job at, you're hearing them and being present for them and being able to listen to their concerns. But I would say underneath a lot of that emotion is the fear that they're going to get dismissed or rejected for their request, which, if we can set that out right from the get-go, that isn't going to be happening in this appointment, it can really be a comfort.
Yeah, so that was RSD, rejection sensory. Sorry, just give me that again. RSD.
Rejection sensitivity dysphoria. Yeah, and so where we feel, where we feel rejection, or we're quite sensitive to rejection, and we almost feel that there's physical pain. It's an intense response to rejection, or being, the perception that they might be getting rejected.
I guess it's important. We wanted to bring up a lot of these educational topics because we're aware people are looking in non-traditional sources for their information, whether it's social media, whether it's Discord, Reddit, TikTok. Can you talk to me? We were just having a chat about a very interesting study. Tell me about that study on TikTok and information.
Yes, there was a study done in the States recently about ADHD and what we are consuming. And, it has recently blown up, ADHD. I mean, I've been in this space for a long time, but quite recently, after COVID and everyone all of a sudden had eyes on their kids and was starting to notice things, it has blown up in terms of publicity. And there's lots of information on TikTok and lots of information on social media. Lots of people going, like, I've lost my wallet, it must be ADHD, those sorts of things. And there was a study done, and I can tell you that absolutely not. The study was done that 50% of the information that people are getting about ADHD is actually incorrect on TikTok. And so that is
staggering,
concerning. Yeah, that is concerning. And that's why it's important to talk to your doctor about it, and to talk to your psychiatrist about it, or your developmental pediatrician and your ADHD coach, people who actually have the training in it. Don't listen to so-and-so at the barbecue, like your old uncle that has lots of opinions about back in my day. They didn't have ADHD. I can tell you they absolutely did. You guys just handled it badly. So we want to hear from informed sources about ADHD and what that means. And it's more than just a focus issue. You don't grow out of it. All of these things that people like to say about ADHD, we really want to always take it back to what is actually, evidence-based, what is actually the correct source of information.
Hey, if people did want to get in touch with you or follow your services, where is the best place to find you guys?
Yes, so I've got quite a few different things that I do in the functional family, because I know that we created everything that we wish we had have been offered. I do ADHD coaching for adults and teenagers. I do parent mentoring for parents, and that's helping the parents with their beautiful kids. I have an online program. I have a low-cost membership. I have a free podcast, free blog. All of those are available at thefunctionalfamily.com. You can follow me on Instagram or Facebook. It's at The Functional Family. And I also have a free support group online as well. So, if people want to get involved, feel free, reach out to your tribe and be a part of this beautiful community, which is a really kind and caring space from people who live it every day.
Well, I could sit here and chew the fat for hours with you, but I think I will wrap it up there. It has been an absolutely pleasure talking health with you. That has been an episode of Shire Health Chats, healthy local conversations. You have a great day, Sharon.
Thank you. Thank you so much.